Hello, everyone. Debra Neill-Baker here, along with my friend and colleague and the executive producer of Serious Business. And that's kind of what's brought us all together this morning is Serious Business. This will be our 22nd year producing Serious Business. And of course, this year, as you all know, we are fully virtual. And as much as, Serious Business, as much as it is a business and personal development conference, it's also always kind of like a reunion because people, love to come together. And that is one of the major benefits of Serious Business. And this year, we're not going to be able to do that. So here we are. And so Carol and I, this is our first Spilling the Tea. And Spilling the Tea, it's funny, our young creative marketing people came up with that. And at first I was like, okay, Spilling the Tea to me as one of the youngest boomers, I remember it wasn't spilling the tea, it would be called spilling your guts kind of thing. That sounds kind of gross, but that was, kind of how I compared it. So today, we have our first guest, and Brandon Hensley will be at Serious Business. He will be on a panel. And we wanted to have a conversation with Brandon this morning and talk about his journey and have you get to know him a little bit better and how he's been able to manifest his dream. And I know they always say, be careful about starting out with the question, how are you and how are you doing? But I'm going to start with that because we are all about spilling the tea and just speaking our truth. So Brandon, how are you this morning?
Well, I am absolutely fantastic. And so, yeah, we had talked about that earlier about, these times are not fantastic times, but how do you be fantastic in non-fantastic times? And that is by making the most of every day. And that's what we're doing. And actually over the last, few months, our business is going really well. We finished the project, we finished a new salon. And so, like I said, it's just been fantastic despite the circumstances.
So how many salons is this?
Well, we moved to salons. We're still at 5 salons. So our original location, which was our what I call our strip center salon, all of our other 4 in these high rent district, beautiful locations. And our original main salon has always been, for 15 years, it was in a strip center, and we had a Sport Clips next to us. And so I bought a building last year right next door to my office building. In the arts district of Coppell, the area we're in. And so it was a restaurant. We gutted it and turned it into, it's absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't have been happier with the outcome of this thing. And so it finally brought this building, what I really consider our flagship location, because it's our original and largest, into more of the branding with our building. And so it's been, like I said, it's been fantastic, and so happy for it.
That's great. So for everybody that doesn't know, tell us where you are. I know where Coppell is, but.
Yeah, so we're, Coppell is a suburb of Dallas, and so we have 4 locations in the suburbs of Dallas and 1 in the heart of Dallas, and so we're definitely a Dallas salon company and love our area and just blessed to be here.
That's great. How many locations do you have now?
We have 5. And so our 5th one was 2 years old now, is 2 years old. I was going to stick at 4 for the longest time. And but we ended up doing the 5th one. And then, like I said, now I just moved our flagship into our unbelievable building. And so, I think we're pretty set for the time being for now, but you never know, right?
So yeah, so you don't have any plans at the moment for a 6th one in the near future?
Not at the moment, but they, you know, the team always kids, because I said 4 no more for forever. And so, and then when we added our 5th, everybody's always making fun of me that, yeah, you say no more, then, before we know it, we're going to have 10. So, but
you've built that business very, very, very fast, Brandon. In fact, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember being on a bus with me in Minneapolis? The bus picked us up at a hotel in Minneapolis and took us all out to, I don't remember where we went. We went somewhere. I think it was in Minneapolis, but we had a Salon Owners advisory forum.
right.
And I remember on that ride, I sat next to you, and you told me that your inspiration was Van Council, and that you wanted to have the kind of success that Van has had.
Yeah, for sure. And I always tell everybody that, that first serious business that I went to, we would open, the Tangerine brand had been open for 6 months. And so just a quick backstory, I'm not a salon business person. I never even dreamed that this would be the path I'd be on. And so, but my wife's a hairdresser. We owned a booth rent salon in the 90s and early 2000s. And she went to an Aveda class. And so she came home and said, I think I want to be a Aveda, but it's a totally different business model. It's not this, what I call being a landlord. And so I said, okay, let's do that. And so it was time to move. And we were living in Coppell at the time. And so we found a space, opened, negotiated a lease. I had never done that before, all these different things. And so what I thought I was just opening a beauty shop for my wife to work in. And so it was going to be a little different. We're going to have employees rather than renters. And then I always kid because I didn't want to buy the shelf talkers. And so y'all gave me the shelves, these little silver shelves. And I think we only bought like hair care only. And so I was on a serious budget back then for sure.
How many years ago was that? 15?
Yeah, 15 years ago, 2004, 2005. So we opened in 2005. So we'd started the journey probably in 2004 of starting to talk to you guys. And so, and I did not want to buy the shelf talkers because they were $300. I was like, why am I going to buy these shelf talkers for $300? And so that seems like it's going to take a bite out of profit. And that was the mindset I had back then. And then that January was serious business. We'd been open for about 6 months, had 4 or 5 employees probably. And like I said, at that point, I just opened a salon for my wife, and I was doing my other thing, my other company. And Van Council got up and started talking about what he does. And I was like, wait, you mean you can do that? Like, that's a thing? Like, these multi-million-dollar companies in the salon world are a thing? Well, let's do that, And so we came back and we said, okay, we're going to do that. Now, I'm definitely not at the level Van is, with how many salons and different things. And I don't want to be that big, because, at the age where Janet and I are now, kind of wanting to, settle down a little bit and just let things run on autopilot as much as possible. And so but over the past 15 years, we have had a serious growth pattern and got us to where I think I want us to be. But yeah, that first serious business, without going to that, I think we would have stuck at, just the one salon. But I was definitely inspired by hearing Van talk and had no idea that was a thing.
No, I know. It's funny because Carol and I, when we talk to the speakers that we, outside of our industry, that we, invite to speak at Serious Business, when we talk to them about our industry, they're like, kind of like what you're just saying. They're like, wow, I guess if I really thought about it, because when you think about it, of course, but yeah, especially for a non-hairdresser and a man. And so what were you doing before? What were you doing prior to the 15 years?
So since I was so since I was in my early 20s, I'd been in ministry, and I'd been with a group that a lot of people probably had heard of called the Power Team, and I traveled around the world. And then I started my own called Team Impact with some of my my buddies. And so for, I mean, we were traveling around the world doing all kinds of these stadium shows and different things like that. We were, it's kind of an interesting approach to ministry type thing. But one of my main goals was to be able to support all of our efforts and different things. And so by growing the business, it really helped with that as well. So I'm still involved with that. I'm still on the board of that organization. I'm not in the day-to-day anymore at all.
No, but when you talk about ministry and you talk about salons and the impact and the ripple effect that hairdressers have,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in fact, Carol is smiling right
Part
now.
of the ministry.
One of the things that I always tell these speakers that we're trying to, get them to really get to know our industry is like, if you want a message, if you want to send a message out into society, there's not a more effective group of missionaries than hairdressers, because they touch people. They touch so many people every day, and then those people take that with them out the door. And so I think it makes a lot of sense how this evolved for you.
Yeah.
Brandon, I want to go back to this simple statement that you just said when you were telling the story about seeing Van for the first time, and you said, well, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you say that so much, and then you really do it. So what is the method or the strategy behind how you've done, let's do that?
Well, I think obviously having started in 2005, I had the template by the people who came before me, like Van, people like that. My friend Rick Bowden that's here with Avalon, people who had done it before, I really think that those people kind of set a template. So I'm not saying I started anything, revolutionary or anything. But the people who started this 20, 30 years ago, man, my hat's really off to you. Because I mean, think about that. That was business without computers. We didn't have free marketing with social media. I mean, you had to do mailers in order to get the word out and different things like that. And so, but I think the main thing is just, coming up with a strategy, finding an inspiration, and being able to, say, okay, I'm going to do it my way, but I'm going to look at who's done it before me so that I can have a little bit of a template. And so that template for us, obviously, when I saw Van Council, and at that point, I mean, there was everybody up there. I think you even had Vidal Sassoon at that first one.
Yes,
right?
I know exactly which one. That was the year that our theme was Legends and Icons. Everybody was up there. I was like, holy moly, that's crazy. And Horst
so
was there. Horst was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and those were all the trailblazers and people who did it when it was really, really hard. And so those guys that said, let's do that at that time, man, my hat's really off to them. Now it's just so much easier. And, our fifth salon that we opened 2 years ago, its first year, it did what, my second salon took 3 years to do. Just because it is easier to get the word out now. It is easier if you've got the right plan, mindset to open up with a bang. And we were able to do that. But the mindset behind let's just do that is just do it, figure it out and do it. Yeah. Whatever it is, and it's different everywhere. I mean, it's a lot easier in Dallas to open a salon than it is in, a rural part of Iowa or something like that. So the people who are succeeding in those markets, really deserve a shout out as well, because in Dallas or in the big cities, it is much easier just because of population and, everything. And your customer base is massive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question because, you talked about Rick Bowden and Van and Horst. And one of the things that Horst used to give us a hard time about is that, we never walked in the shoes of the salon owners. So you know, as we were developing educational and business programs. So we bought a little salon in Hammond and used it as our test kitchen. But then there was another distinction that I noticed that was kind of part of the major ingredients that a Rick or a Van or a Horst had, is that they were hairdressers. They were hairdresser salon owners. So you're not a hairdresser salon owner, although you're married to, your partner is a hairdresser, which has got to, that is probably a really great combination. Because I don't know, have you noticed that being a non-hairdresser and being a hairdresser owner, there's some different things to navigate?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's, we do have the best of both worlds, you know, because she definitely, we have such totally different mindsets. And so she's got a mindset in that arena, and I've got a mindset in the arena of marketing and branding and, you know, leading a team and different things like that. And so when we're able to put those together, yeah, it was much easier. And so when we started Tangerine, like I said, I had my other career that I was doing. And so money wasn't necessarily an issue at that time. So we were able to help grow. Now, if you're a hairdresser and a salon owner, you're behind the chair, obviously, you know, if not now, when you were getting started, for sure. So yeah, the ramp up is probably a little harder. And so for us, it was a little easier in the sense of, yeah, she was behind the chair. You know, I was able to do you know, the legwork for growing the business and different things like that. And so I think it did give us a big advantage. And then the advantage of just having the mindset, because we think totally different. And so, but we're able to combine those two. It's almost like an offense and a defensive mind on a football team. You know, you've got to have the two different mindsets, because they're totally different parts of the game.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
I know you love these sports analogies.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So one of you and Brandon, I think, share, huh?
Yeah, we play on a fantasy football league, and I'm sure he'd love to tell you where we stand at that.
You want me to? I will.
Go ahead, Brandon. I know you're going to slide it in anyway.
Well, I'm in first place and she's in last. That I don't want to say that. I didn't want to say that, but she forced me to. She forced my hand.
He loves to tell everybody that. It's for the camaraderie for me, not the competition.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of camaraderie, that's for sure. You see the text threads on game day.
So, okay, you're at 5 locations now. It's been 15 years. Is there anything you would have done differently to get to where you are now?
Yeah, massive. I mean, I'm glad I went through everything that I went through. I mean, every time there's a major mistake, I'm almost thankful for it, so that I won't do it again until I do it again, which I do sometimes. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that you have to navigate and to learn. And every day is different now. And so what we were doing 15 years ago definitely does not work today. Not in leadership, not in marketing, not in anything. It is a completely different business. And I have a saying that if you don't love change, you better love irrelevance. And so you've got to constantly be changing. And if you don't, I mean, irrelevance is going to be headed your way fast. And so at the end of the day, our people are Tangerine. It's, you know, we're blessed with some beautiful buildings and locations, and, you know, in the economically positive areas of Dallas. And so, you know, customers are not an issue. You know, customers are going to come. But how you deal with your staff, how you recruit, how you enable, you know, the best possible place to work. Those things are changing rapidly, almost daily. And so that is our biggest focus every single day, is how do we make the best place to work? And so there's always a balance that we talk about with our team, is we want to make sure, while we want to be the best place to work, we also have to be the best place to get your hair done. And so what is that balance? Because the best place to work would be like, oh, I can come to work whenever I want. Or the best place to work would be I can wear whatever I want. The best place to work would be all of those different things that are leaning towards your total comfort. Well, now we have to balance that with what is the client experience. Okay, the client wants a hairstylist that comes to work on time. They want one that has the best education. They want all of these things. And so having that balance of the best place to have your hair done while also being the best place to work is been the key to our success. And so that is the biggest thing that I can say is working on your team, making sure that you know they're doing what they love and they're loving where they do it. At the end of the day, that's the key to success.
Well,
I know that you have very high staff retention. So it's what you just said, is that the secret to all of that?
Yeah, and I have people that started with us that are still here and that were there on day one. And the fact that they're still here is really amazing because the fact they lasted that first 2 or 3 years when we didn't know what we were doing, I am really thankful to those people. And I always say, it's not the one who starts the thing that's crazy. It's the first 2 or 3 that follow are the crazy ones. And so now it's, the people that come on board, they've got it awesome, whereas, because we've got all of our ducks in a row, we've got all these systems, these benefits. You come in and you're in a beautiful building and you're in, your education is top notch and your benefits are the great benefits, but we didn't have all that in the beginning. And so the fact that we retained those people that were with us in the beginning, I just love those people and thank them every day for sticking with us. And hopefully now they're enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Well, I think it's kind of what you just shared is kind of the introduction and a great way to wrap up our conversation today, because really that's what you're going to be sharing. You're going to dive in to the how, the what and the how around what you just shared with us. And that will be, this is really a perfect time to kind of wrap up and say that, it's funny because a lot of people, there's an opportunity to learn, getting to know you and your journey and your failures and your successes. One of the best ways to learn is by observing and learning what other people do and what worked and what didn't work. And I know that you are very generous in sharing all of that, and that's what you'll be sharing at Serious Business. And I want to thank you, Brandon, and we look very much forward to, and although I don't think that we'll have 12,500 people like Tony Robbins did that Carol participated in, it is an opportunity to, this fully virtual is an opportunity to really expand our reach and our message. And
I just want to say one thing about that, not to cut in, but there is one way to get more of Brandon's information, and that is through the podcast that he does. Can you give us something, an overview of your podcast?
Yeah, sure. Over quarantine, when we were all just sitting at home doing nothing, I thought, well, what'd be fun is a podcast. I was thinking, well, what kind of podcast? Because, in our salons, when you have multiple locations, they all have different personalities. They have all different issues. They have all different triumphs and all different challenges and things like that. So I thought, why don't we just do a podcast called The Everyday Salon? Like, what happens every day in our salon? What are we doing? What are we thinking about? What are we seeing that, that could be helpful? And so I started it. I said, nothing else to do. Why not start a podcast? And it's super easy, like technology these days, to do it. And we did that. And I had Carol on the other day, and we talked about serious business, and which I think is really great because we've actually gotten a big group of people from overseas that listen to the podcast. Several in the UK, several in Canada, several in different places that maybe, hearing that about serious business, now they can jump on without the massive travel costs.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm hoping that in fact, I was going to tell you, I'd love to see if those people are jumping on board and see if they register, Carol. And
I'll watch for it and let you know. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, and so the podcast just gives a great way to reach, I mean, every corner of the world. And we are where I'm saying, I don't even know how it's even happening, but it's happening. I guess people are searching for salon podcast or something, but they're finding us.
That's awesome. One more question, and then we'll let you go. But I'm curious of how you'll be attending Serious Business. Are you doing a team event or anything like that for your team to experience it?
Yeah, so you've got a great feature that I'm telling everybody that, I mean, it's a no-brainer. They have a salon-wide, and I'll let you tell the exact details, but I mean, it's a no-brainer at all for teams. So we're going to have Serious Business available to our entire staff. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brandon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and have a happy holiday, and we will be reconnecting very soon.
Yeah, look forward to it. Sorry, I'm not going to get to see your faces anytime soon, but maybe next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. So tune in every Monday at 10 o'clock Central Time for Spilling the Tea. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.